Dear Java browser plugins, do not let the door hit you on the way out. Secret rumors that Amazon might be coming up with a Spotify killer. And Christina Warren is here to reveal Prong-gate. All that and more on Tech News Today.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by CashFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Tech News Today, episode 1438, recorded Thursday, January 28th, 2016.
This episode of Tech News Today is brought to you by ZipRecruiter. Are you hiring? With ZipRecruiter.com, you can post to 100-plus job sites, including social networks, all with a single click. Screen, rate, and hire the right candidates fast. Try ZipRecruiter with a free 4-day trial now at ZipRecruiter.com/TNT.
And by the Ring Video Doorbell. With Ring, you can see and talk to anyone at your door from anywhere in the world using your smartphone. It's like caller ID for your home. Right now, get free expedited FedEx shipping when you go to ring.com/TNT.
And by Igloo Software. Igloo is an intranet that you will actually like. It connects people with the information they need to do their best work. Try it for free at igloosoftware.com/twit or sign up for a live demo to see it in action. Hello and welcome to Tech News Today. This is the show where we talk about the tech news with people who love technology. I am Megan Morrone.
Or people that make it their job to love technology. I'm Jason Howell. I found out yesterday there's kind of a little bit of a difference. You can be passionate about technology or passionate about technology because you've been working in technology for a really long time.
Got it. You can't be both?
I feel like you can be both. I feel like I'm both. I don't know.
Both.
You know, I think everybody comes from a different point of view in this regard. Joining us today, oh, by the way, welcome back.
Oh, thank you.
It's good to have you back.
Yeah, you guys survived without me. Thanks to Shannon and Patrick and Flo and Father Robert.
Yes,
and
we all pitched in. It took four different people to replace you,
Takes
Megan.
a village, we like to say. A tech news village.
That's right. Today joining the show is Christina Warren from Mashable. How's it going, Christina?
I'm good. I'm one of those people who both loves technology because I'm passionate and because it's my job to like it. So
kind of part of the reason why it's our job, right?
One would
for
hope.
me, it definitely is.
Hopefully.
For me, it definitely is.
Yeah. I don't think it would be your job if you didn't love it. Because then
some people
do their job.
I know some people. I'm not going to put anybody on blast who they write about tech because they could get a job writing about tech, but they're not really that into it.
Yeah.
Well, under the table, tell us who those people are, and we will not invite them to the show.
Yeah, we'll put this in Slack after the show, and we won't. We'll keep it between us. Hey, we've got some news to talk about. The earnings blitz, whatever you want to call it. I'm trying to spice up earnings, but it just
earnings
doesn't work.
season.
Yeah, earnings season. There we go. That's good enough. Microsoft announced its earnings, and it seems the general sense is Surface okay, Cloud good, phones bad. Let's bring it down.
Caveman earnings.
I mean, yes, except this is how I deliver earnings, all right, in caveman terms. So basically, Intelligent Cloud, speaking of cloud, growth of 11%. Azure revenue up 140%. So cloud for Microsoft, big deal this time around. Surface family brought a 29% increase of revenue year over year. That's $1.35 billion. So at least Surface seems to be doing all right. The Surface Book and Surface Pro 4 were big drivers there. Surface fans, would you go to town for a Surface?
I mean, look, I wouldn't get on my Mac, but if I had to have a Windows machine, if I had to use Windows, I would have a Surface Pro for sure. And I think the Surface Book is a good product. I mean, honestly, it took them a couple of tries, but with the Surface Pro 3, they really nailed it. The Surface Pro 4 is an even better version than that, and the Surface Book is obviously great. I think once they realized we're not going to try to be an iPad, we're just going to be a really good laptop that happens to have tablet-like functionality. That was great.
Now, phone revenue dropped 49% year over year. Not a very strong holiday push, it seems like.
No. Well, okay. First of all, they released the phones late and didn't get a lot of push. I don't even think there's any carrier support for the phones. The Lumia 950 and the 950 XL, maybe AT&T exclusive. So almost no carrier push. Since the Nokia acquisition took place, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys, but it feels like they haven't even pushed anything internationally. So before they acquired Nokia, a lot of the Windows Phone driving sales were coming internationally, especially places like Brazil. and other parts of South America. That seems to have really died off, and Android has just kind of taken over those places again. My big question is, they already wrote off a ton of most of their Nokia acquisition. It looks like they're going to be getting away from the Lumia branding. They obviously have they sold off the HERE unit, for mapping. Why did they buy Nokia again? Like, what was the point of that? Like, genuinely, like, what was the point? Because
did they feel like they needed to?
I guess. But at the same time, I mean, if you make that sort of investment, and it wasn't, it was like $8 billion, I think. If you make that sort of investment and then you don't continue to invest and you release, some updates kind of to the platform, but not really, and the software story just keeps getting sadder and sadder. I think Tom Warren from The Verge actually wrote a story that went up tonight that basically said Windows Phone is dead. And yeah, I think he's kind of right. I mean, Microsoft might not officially kill it off yet, but for revenue to drop 49% year over year, that's massive, and that ended up affecting their entire top and bottom lines because not having that revenue from phones hurt them. I think there was probably some other things going on too, but I mean, God, like, it's going in the wrong direction. Like, I mean, at this point, it's almost going to become like a joke. Like, who sells more phones, like Microsoft or BlackBerry? And I don't know the answer to that question.
Yeah, I mean, not to mention the common argument, which is just that the app kind of ecosystem on Microsoft's phones is not very good. The Lumia 950 and 950 XL reviews were very mediocre. I mean, it wasn't like a high-range, they weren't high-range devices necessarily, but they're kind of pitted against other high-range devices, and that hurts them.
That's the problem. Well, right, and then the Continuum feature, which they really were kind of, bragging about, saying, you can kind of turn this into like a Windows 10 machine, didn't really work quite as well as the kind of demoed. When we used it here, I sit next to our product analyst Ray Wong, and we were trying to play with it, and we had massive issues. When we used it for certain monitors or certain setups, it would work okay. Other monitors, it wouldn't work at all. It had issues with a lot of things, and some of the apps worked fine, some of them didn't. But you're right. I mean, if you're going to sell a premium product this way, especially if you're tied to one carrier, you better be able to go up against the flagships from the other platforms, and they can't.
Right.
Well, in the hardware, that's the hardware side. The software side is more interesting. Like, there's a lot of Microsoft apps. I'm a big fan of Outlook on my iPhone. There's a lot there's Microsoft Office apps are great on iOS, and I guess, I don't know, do you use a lot of Microsoft apps on your Android phones? And
well, I will say that Microsoft is doing some very interesting things on the Android platform. That's one thing that I really like about the modern day Microsoft is that they're really open to kind of getting out there, experimenting. Microsoft Garage is a prime example of that. They're putting out some really interesting, unique things, at least on the Android platform as far as that's concerned. So they're playing around with things. I don't know how that dramatically affects the big picture, but in the long run, this might be the signal of the start of a new strategy that could end up kind of filling the gaps a little bit down the road.
Yeah. So it's unsatisfying to us, but I mean, the earnings themselves were as expected. There was nothing really surprising. Whereas Amazon also announced earnings today, and they were not as expected. They were kind of lousy, according to estimates by analysts. They missed their mark by a wide margin for Q4. Shares of the company were down 13%, or maybe even down 15% by the end of the day, down. But there's not really any need to start worrying about Amazon either. They're doing fine. They had great profits, and they're entering. It wasn't like last year at this time was when we were still mourning the Fire phone. So
no one was mourning the Fire phone.
No one was mourning the Fire phone. Well, now no one said the Echo. A year after it was basically. I think I got mine a year ago. They're going to have a Super Bowl ad with Alec Baldwin, and I mean, that's awesome. I mean, the Echo has been a great product for them, and I think it's kind of helped counter that notion that the Kindle was a one-off success, because the Fire phone was a big disaster, and I think there were a lot of questions. Can they do hardware? And I think the Echo proves that with the right product, they absolutely can. The phone obviously wasn't the right product, but that sort of smart device that intersects with their cloud and their other services is great.
It does seem like, some of the rumors, and we're hearing a lot of rumors about Amazon right now, are kind of pointing at Amazon really focusing on its platform in a bigger way, and maybe a little bit less on hardware specifically, at least as far as Android is concerned. The rumor that's kind of floating around right now is that they're working with third-party, other OEMs, so that they're not doing necessarily the phones in-house, but they're rolling out Amazon's kind of ecosystem and platform onto other devices. Whether that'll happen or not, remains to be seen. Of course, this this Echo news is also along that line.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, you have an Echo, Christina.
Yeah.
There's so much that an Echo can do. I always love to ask what people use theirs for. So what do you use your Echo for?
So, I mean, if I'm being totally honest, I mostly just kind of use it as a really smart Bluetooth speaker. I don't use a lot of the reading the news stuff, although I will ask it, sometimes what the weather is or to play, a podcast or to do something else. But I honestly use it really frequently just to play music. And I find that it's a really great Bluetooth speaker. I wish that it were maybe like completely wireless. And I think that's the rumor that the next version might have like a wireless option. But I find it to be a really good Bluetooth speaker. It works with all my music services. I'm a Prime subscriber. So, I have the Prime Music stuff, but it also works, with iTunes and with Spotify and with other services. So I honestly just use it a ton to listen to music.
Well, that's interesting because maybe I'm doing something wrong, but I think every time Amazon makes you pair it every time, whereas my other Bluetooth speakers, like I just get near there and it's. But then with the Echo, you have to tell it to pair and then pair, which that one step is. Just makes me listen to Pandora using my Echo, or I listen to Amazon Prime Music. But there's news today from the New York Post. They are spreading a rumor that Amazon might be creating a new Spotify killer. The Post says the streaming music service would be a step up from Amazon Prime, which we can all agree doesn't have everything that we want. And the service will be cheaper if you already have an Echo. These of course, are just rumors, but Business Insider points out that in the earnings call today, Apple did say that Amazon Prime Music was gaining momentum. So what do we think about this?
And I think it makes sense to kind of their broader content play, right? Like they've obviously been doing a ton with video, and they're doing well there. They even made more acquisitions at Sundance than Netflix did, and they've got won Golden Globes for Mozart and the Jungle, and Transparent has won Emmy Awards, and so they've been doing well on their original content strategy for video. I think music, obviously everybody cares about music, even if the music industry is kind of faltering a little bit, it still matters a lot. I think getting into that streaming space more definitively than what they are now would work, and they might be able to subsidize. I have a feeling they probably have to pay the same rates that the other services are paying, but if they can subsidize some of that subscription cost, if you are a Prime subscriber, that might be an additional incentive to get people to spend that $100 a year.
Yeah, it seems like part of that subsidy is actually, like you said, coming from the Echo of all things.
Yeah,
I see a future, by the way, around Echo. I think I realized this a couple of days ago, talking with Father Robert, where the Echo becomes Amazon's like platform Google Now for phones and all this kind of stuff. You can kind of see it moving in that direction.
You can, which I think would be really smart. And I think that would be the thing that would maybe get some of their apps other than their shopping app and their other things onto phones. I mean, I obviously use the Amazon, video and music apps on my iPhone and my iPad, but it's hard to kind of get full into their other parts of their cloud ecosystem and their service. But I think if you have the Echo integration, especially with the voice control stuff, that might be one of those things that could really convince people, especially Android users, to go through the requisite steps of downloading their apps, since you can't get them through Google Play, and really kind of build, like you said, their own kind of ecosystem around it. I think if they open up APIs on the Echo, and really let developers get in more than what they can now, that's a huge opportunity. And I think that people would flock to it because it is one of those really unique devices that can do a lot of stuff and can be hacked to do some interesting things. And I think with a little more openness there, they could get the sort of developer support that they haven't actually found on their mobile platforms so far.
Totally. Completely agree. Well, in related news, Pandora rolled out some changes to its iOS app. I'm sure those changes are coming to other platforms soon to help it compete with Spotify and others in the space, including a browse section for new music discovery. I'm not a hardcore Pandora user or a paying user. You love Pandora, though, right?
I am a hardcore Pandora.
Yes, all the time.
It looks a lot like Rdio, which they purchased.
That's right. That's right.
This really does have kind of that Rdio DNA a little bit, it seems to.
Yeah, I love Pandora. I have now not gotten rid of my subscription because it's cheap. I mean, it's way cheaper than
How much is it?
Apple Music. I think I pay like $20 a year, or $30, maybe it's $60 a year. I think it's around $60 a year. I have to check that, but it's not $9.99 a month like everything else is. And I like the music. I like how it finds the music for me. Like it's better than Apple Music. I haven't had as much success. And yeah, and there's my whole family uses it, and we've we've liked so many songs over the years.
You're invested in it.
Yeah. I'm not the same way that people are invested in Spotify as many people are. And I like it on the Echo too, because you can thumbs up songs. You can just tell the Echo to thumbs up them, and means, they'll play more things. And there's the Thumbprint Radio that they just announced that really takes everything that you've liked and gives you just more of what you want to listen to, I think. But I also subscribe to Apple Music.
And would you say you use Pandora more than Apple Music?
Good question.
Paying more for Apple Music.
I use them for when I just want to listen to what I think someone else might think I would like. When I want to listen to a specific song, I'll listen to Apple Music, because that's what you can't do with Pandora. You can't just say, I need to listen to Taylor Swift right now. And as we all know, the three of us know, there are times in your life.
All the time.
If there aren't times, it's called every day. Like, is it a red day? Is it a 1989 day? Is it a fearless day? Like,
is it a day? I mean, seriously.
Now, exactly. The only day that we usually don't have Taylor Swift as part of the rotation. That's usually not in the repertoire, but the rest of it, yeah.
Exactly.
My daughters, by the way, totally agree with you, Christina. First, we got rid of Flash, and now we say farewell, well, soon anyways, to the Java browser plugin. Feel like we need a little taps for this one. But man, the Java plugin has been just to say goodbye to an old friend.
No.
Friend
You know what?
to no one.
10 years ago, I might have shed a little tear, been like, oh, so long, farewell. Now I'm like, nah. You know what? This has been a security risk. So much malware has been spread through this. This has been a problem. I mean, even like my friends who are Mac users, if they wind up getting crap on their machine, I'm like, did you have Oracle's Java installed? Why? What were you doing? Well, I needed it for this purpose. No, you did not need an applet installed in your browser. What is happening with you? So I'm so glad they're getting rid of this.
Yeah, it's not yet. I'm not sure exactly.
I think September, the next release of Java in September.
Deprecated next release of the JDK, the Java Developer Kit, and eventually it'll be fully removed. And yeah, it was originally introduced back in 1995. So it's been slowing down and making our web insecure for 21 years now.
Yeah. And most browsers don't even support it anymore. Like Internet Explorer and maybe Safari are the only browsers that still support the plugin, and no mobile browsers too. So a slow death. But we are.
But we're excited about it. I mean, look, it's time. I think it's really great that these legacy web technologies, which, look, we owe a lot of the modern web to these technologies. Like, I don't want to be disrespectful to that. They've done a lot for we have the modern web we have now because of them. But I think that it's time that they get phased out, especially with security concerns, with so many people having vectors that are coming in, and you just, as people keep computers longer, especially, it's harder to update. And the excuse of we'll just use Chrome. I mean, that's great, but you're not always in a position to just use Chrome or something else. And it's time for these things to go away. I think it also makes sense for web standards, because increasingly as people are developing for mobile web first, you don't even think about these things. And so getting rid of these legacy technologies, I think, and moving forward so that we can really embrace the future. I'm excited that we're embracing the future.
Does the Wayback Machine support archived pages that have Java applets on the page? Are we actually saying goodbye to anything Java?
You know what? I don't know, because there probably would be a way. Well, I know that the archive.org, I know that they've done a lot of things where they've created HTML5 versions of certain games and applets. So that would actually be an interesting project. We should probably ask Text Files if there are plans to maybe make some sort of converter. Because you're right, there are probably some Java applets that have historical necessity that will need to be converted or have something happen so that we can still access them.
I suppose the problem there would be, do the browsers still support it, though? And what we're seeing is that they soon won't if they don't already. So kind of might be a moot point.
Yeah, I mean, there might be some sort of server-side virtual machine you could run and then display it in JavaScript. It might be something you could do. But you're right. I mean, at a certain point, it was probably going to be difficult to do to support this stuff. But I mean, I can't even remember the last time I used a legitimate website that needed a Java applet for something. Totally. I think it was one program. I don't remember what it was, and I remember being like, you know what, this isn't worth it. I'm just being like, I'm not sure how confident I feel using this service if you're still insisting on using a Java applet.
That's a really good point.
Well, our last story today is either about an app that is dying or just at its beginning, and maybe we can agree or disagree on this. The popular, in my mind, social networking app Peach just added some new features, including an alpha web interface. It's in its alpha stage, but it is created by Dom Hoffman, who created Vine and created Peach. So, and I've been using the web interface and I like it. There's also a beta app coming out. If you want to test that for Android, you can.
Android's going to get on the platform when it
dies.
Yeah.
And a way to automatically share the current noise level wherever you are, just straight to your Peach feed.
You did that in the office, and I was
did
like,
it
"What are
several
you talking
times.
about?"
Yeah, in different
That's
areas.
really
cool. Depending on who was talking loudly around me. So, Christina Warren,
Okay, then.
I know you were a Peach user.
I was a Peach user, and I haven't used it since the Golden Globes. I kind of forgot about it. This is sort of the problem with Peach. It came out, and we had someone write an article this week kind of about how it went viral, and I think it was sort of the timing. It was a Friday. It was kind of a slow news week, and it went viral. I think there are a lot of parts about Peach that are really compelling, and I'm glad that they're iterating on the product and introducing these things. I do wonder if they were almost a victim of the early success too much, where everybody talked about it kind of for that weekend, and that kind of hubbub overshadowed the real things they're trying to build. Because of that, I feel like it might take them longer to kind of rebound and build a real trajectory so that they're not just also, oh, you don't remember that thing that was popular for a second. Because I do think that some of the things they're doing are really interesting. I like the magic words a lot, kind of that bot-like interface of being able to share stuff, I think is really smart. And I also like kind of the idea of where it kind of sits between a Twitter and a Snapchat in terms of its shareability, in terms of its visibility. It's not completely public, but it's not completely private. I like that. And I think that some of the stuff they're doing with being able to choose your favorite friends to kind of, like you said, clear out the noise, I think does a lot for what's happening here. I know my problem with Peach, because I did this, it was my own fault. I joined and then I immediately accepted every single friend request I had, and it's like, okay, now it makes it really hard to go through a feed and see anything. But being able to kind of prioritize whose stuff you want to see and whose you don't is a good thing. I do think they're going to run into the risk of how do you get new users, and obviously coming to Android is a good way to do that, and having a web interface is another good way to do that. But I still feel like the one thing I would say about it that it kind of needs, Snapchat is kind of the exception that proves the rule on this, as you do need a way to kind of be able to share those posts other places. So having that web part of it, I think, is really important. But I also hope that there's kind of a way that they really do make it so that there are URLs related to posts, so that you can see them in other contexts or share them in other networks, so that it's not just constrained to the Peach service.
Well, that was the problem, right? For like, if you had just accepted everyone, the way that your feed was organized was the people that posted the most would be on top. Right. And, any of us in social media, any of us who have spent 5 minutes on Facebook know that's not, Facebook does the opposite. If you post too much, you won't, other people won't see other people won't see it as much. So there was that. But I think it's been interesting that so many people are like, Peach is dead, shut the door on your way out, Megan. You're the last one there. But I remember very clearly people saying the same thing about Twitter and about Facebook and about blogs. Like, I am old enough to remember when people said, why would anyone ever blog? That's the stupidest thing ever. I clearly remember that. So they might, Peach might be dead. But if it isn't, if it becomes the next Twitter, I was there, and you remember people.
Maybe the difference is, when blogs were at in that place, there weren't a lot of other things exactly like blogs, and when Facebook and Twitter were in that place, there weren't a lot of other things exactly like Facebook and Twitter. Right now, we're so saturated with social networks. Like, it takes a lot of effort to, just as a user, to dedicate yourself to a new social network when you're already used to having that as part of your life. And so the thought of, that's my main question is, can a new social network grow, thrive, survive today, unless it's offering something so out there that isn't offered anywhere?
Like Snapchat, because I would say that Snapchat absolutely, did kind of prove that you could recreate a social graph from scratch. And it was only later that they kind of added the integration. But I think you make a good point, which is how many networks people really want to create, how much time do they want to go through to really add all the people they know on other places. And I think the bigger question is, and this gets a little more existential, is do you want to follow the same people everywhere. And if you don't, what does that mean? And then what are the social constructs around, okay, how do I reject your peach request? I mean, I might really like to follow you on Twitter, and maybe we're Facebook friends, but maybe I don't want you in this space. And how do you handle that? And I don't have the answers for those questions, but I think they're interesting to think about.
And you don't know often with these social networks what kind of community you should curate when you're first signing up, right? You don't know that. My Facebook, when I started with Facebook, I left it very open and I involved everyone. And then I started podcasting, and then I started getting a bunch of people. And then I realized I can't use this with my friends anymore because my friends don't care about my technology musings. So then I had to clamp it down, and I was able to do it there, but that was not easy to do.
Yeah.
And you don't know that. So Peach comes along. How do I want to curate this? What's the way that I'm going to enjoy the benefits of this specific service? Is that being wide open, or is it being closed off? You just don't know.
Well, coming up, Christina Warren will explain Kanye West's tweets to us. But first, let's take a minute to thank ZipRecruiter. Jason Howell.
Yes.
What's the weirdest job you ever had?
Weirdest job. I've had some weird jobs, but definitely probably telemarketing. I was a telemarketer in Montreal, Canada for 6 months. It was very weird.
Interesting.
It was. I learned a lot of things in that job, primarily that I never want to be a telemarketer ever again.
Were people nice to you?
I mean, some people are not nice to telemarketers, and I certainly saw that side of things, yes.
How did you get that job?
I got it through looking in the newspaper.
Right.
You
don't have to do that anymore.
Thankfully. It was painful.
To ZipRecruiter. As a business owner, it is so much easier to find quality people like Jason Howell to be your telemarketer. Posting jobs in one place is not enough to find quality candidates, and short staffing leaves little time to post to dozens of job sites. Thanks to ZipRecruiter.com, you can post to 100 plus job sites with one single click, and you can be instantly matched to candidates from over nearly 6 million resumes. Just post once, and within 24 hours, watch your candidates roll into ZipRecruiter's easy-to-use interface. ZipRecruiter has been used by over 400,000 businesses. You can try it now for free. Getting the right people for your company is so important. Dan is a happy ZipRecruiter client. He says, the hardest part about running a business when you need to hire is that you have to spend extra time recruiting while you're short-staffed. But with ZipRecruiter, I've gotten quality candidates within 24 hours of posting a job. ZipRecruiter's website makes this process so much faster by letting me manage candidates in one place. Today, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/TNT. That's ZipRecruiter.com/TNT. And we thank ZipRecruiter for their support of Tech News Today.
All right. So, Christina, you've written a couple of things we're going to talk about right now, starting with Apple, who has a voluntary recall for the swappable, the little prong attachments for...
the little duck bills or whatever.
Yeah, what's going on here? Are they going to hurt me?
I mean, no, because you're in the United States. So
that's right.
U.S., Canada, China, you're fine. It's continental Europe, so not even the U.K., Australia, New Zealand, Korea, and some countries I'm probably missing, and I think some South American places. Basically, what it seems like is that maybe the seal on those little duckbills things aren't getting tight enough onto the AC adapter, and some people are getting shocked when they're plugging it into the wall. So Apple's saying, okay, if you've got one and you're concerned, either fill out a form on the website or come to an Apple store and we'll exchange it out for you.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a pretty small number of affected units, but Apple's doing this totally voluntarily and swapping them out for you.
Can we call it Prong-gate?
Yes, Prong-gate. That's actually a really, really good name for it. It's similar to what Microsoft kind of did, last week with the Surface Pro AC adapters. In that case, again, it was the AC adapter itself, the actual power source was fine, but it's the cable that goes into it, that plugs into the wall, that was causing some people to get shocked. So they recalled those too. So I have to think, and I don't know this definitively, but I have to think it has to be some sort of seal issue. It has to be something about how it's connecting in, that it's transmitting, allowing people to, it's not, keeping the electricity in the way that it should. But good for them for recalling it. And if you live in one of those countries and are concerned, reach out to Apple and they'll give you new plugs. I'll be honest, I've actually had to buy the replacement plugs for those things on the internet before, and they don't officially sell them. So you have to find aftermarket things and find people who run Mac repair shops who have a bunch of them, and yes, I would 5 of them, please. Because
find them on eBay. Yeah.
Well, right. Well, yeah, because for me anyway, what happens is that with my laptop, charger. I have like the long cord that's plugged in all the time, and then I have the duckbill that goes on top that I use with when I'm traveling and when I want to be more on the go. And then if you misplace that, you're like, you're completely screwed because you're like, okay, well, now I've got an adapter and no way to plug it in.
Yep.
All right. So we don't know what Peach is for. Christina, you know what Twitter is for.
Yes.
And explain it to us through Kanye West's tweets, please.
Yeah, yes. Twitter is for Kanye West. Kanye West makes Twitter happen, basically. No, I wrote a story last night that basically said, Kanye West proves why Twitter really matters. And what struck me during his amazing rant yesterday, which was probably, he's had a number of good Twitter rants. I think this one, especially the way that Amber Rose, his ex-girlfriend, responded and basically shut everything down at the end. I think this probably wins, but it's one of those moments where it kind of proved to me, we've had a lot of conversations about what Twitter is good for, and the company is obviously having some struggles. But this was a moment where you have one of the biggest artists on the planet reads what he perceives to be some shade from someone that he has some personal issues with, and then takes to Twitter to just take him down and get really personal really quickly. And it's just one of those things where watching the train wreck happen in real time was so fascinating. And to me, I was thinking about it and I was like, this could not happen on another platform. Even if, let's pretend that we live in a world where Kanye West actually used Facebook, which obviously he doesn't, because why would he? You wouldn't use Facebook as a way to share something like that. And even if you did, it wouldn't have the ability to go viral because of kind of the private nature of that stream. Instagram is what you do when you want to show people, this is the life that I want everyone to think that I'm living. It's aspirational, but it's maybe not reality. So you're not really getting into a lot of beef with people on Instagram, unless you're Rob Kardashian, in which case you want to shade your sisters and it's great, and we all follow you and it's amazing.
I'll just go ahead and put the air quotes up there.
Well, I do. I follow all the Kardashians on Instagram, and I actually say that everyone should. You should also follow the Shade Room Inc. There are a number of really good gossip Instagram accounts. Anyway, moving away from that, Snapchat is one of those things where you're either kind of being aspirationally weird if you do a Snapchat story, or you're being one-to-one. So I was thinking about this, and I was like, the only place where this could be viral and everyone could kind of have this meta commentary on it and it could happen in real time is Twitter. And so to me, kind of Kanye's rant kind of encapsulates what makes Twitter so unique. And to me, that's the sort of thing that as a company, they really need to kind of focus in on. How can we make it easier for people to engage in these moments? Not necessarily, for celebrities to go on ridiculous rants. It is a gospel album, by the way, was my favorite tweet from his tweet storm. It's just apropos of nothing, but it's not one of those, I'm not necessarily recommending that they make it easy for people to go on rants, but it is one of those things where this is one of the only platforms where you have the ability to be both kind of public facing and have one-to-one and one-to-many reactions and meta commentary happening around things in real time. And I think that's really unique, and that's something that they're the only ones who can do it.
It's a really good point. Twitter needs to buckle down on the ability of their users to get in public arguments with each other.
Totally.
Not that they need to buckle down on that, because it's already happening.
Right. No, but they need to make it, I think, even easier for people to. What I think really what they need to focus on is if you're coming into one of these moments and you're not a Twitter user, they need to make it easier for you to be able to engage and figure out what's happening, so that the sign up process isn't ridiculous, and so that the onboarding process isn't ridiculous, and you can immediately enjoy, Kanye's Twitter stream and understand and see the reactions and understand why, this is happening, and whether you like him or don't like him. I mean, it was so entertaining. I'm a big Kanye fan, unabashedly so, and it was so entertaining. And then the best part is, and this I think it kind of adds to kind of the mystique of Twitter, is that, and I called this early on. I was like, oh, you guys, we have to start taking screenshots because he will totally delete all this stuff.
Yes.
And of course he did. He deleted it all, to the point that Twitter had actually been very smart. They created a Twitter moment around his tweets. And then their Twitter moment was kind of ruined because he deleted all of them. So it kind of, I think, proves these are the sorts of moments that, it really only works if you're engaged and you're part of it as it's happening.
Yeah, if you're there right then. Yep.
Right. And Twitter doesn't, maybe you don't need more fights. I'm not going to go that far, but you need more moments on Twitter where people want to actually be engaged and active on the platform and not just coming to kind of search for stuff later.
Sure.
They need more of a reason for people to want to be logged in and engaged all the time. Like we are, like the three of us, are on Twitter a lot, but regular people aren't, and they need more of a pull to kind of convince people, hey, actually, this is something that I should have running and checking and interacting with the same way that maybe I do Instagram or Snapchat. Because there are these other aspects to it that you can't get other places.
I have this light bulbs going off in my brain right now. I think we just figured something out. Kanye West is the new media personality that is going to be brought into Twitter's board that they've been talking about.
That would actually be genius.
See,
it would be.
We figured it out. All right, we got there. All right. Excellent stuff there, Christina. Moving on here, I want to welcome to the show Lorenzo, Franceschi-Bicchierai. I know I probably went a little slow on that, but Bicchierai. I'm going to do it again from Motherboard. How's it going, Lorenzo?
Hi, Jason. How are you?
I really wanted,
good, by the way.
I really wanted to get your name right, like solid right off the top. So hope I didn't let you down. Let's start with the basics here. You wrote a story about HTTPS and Google, and basically, I mean, I suppose we should just start with the blanket question I think we all know the answer to, which is, does HTTP provide any sort of security benefit for internet users? And what is Google's stance on that right now?
Yeah, the answer to your first question is basically no. I mean, us techies know about it, but I think the general public doesn't know about it. The internet wasn't born with security in mind, and that's why HTTP by itself doesn't provide any security. That's why in the past people would tell you, don't browse your bank on while you're at Starbucks, because all the connections were not secured. And Google's stance is, Google has been pushing for more encryption across the internet, just like a lot of other organizations like Mozilla and a bunch of nonprofits that all have coalesced around this movement called HTTPS everywhere, or encrypt all the things. And what happened yesterday was that during a conference, somebody showed a screenshot of this little setting that nobody knows about in Google Chrome, which basically allows you to enable this little red lock on the URL. That means that all the websites that are not HTTPS will be showed as insecure.
Right. That's kind of an alarming thing to find in your URL browser. You see the big red X out and you immediately, well, maybe you don't panic, but you wonder if you should be panicking. So I can imagine for the regular user, that might just be a curiosity. I'm curious to know, how, I guess we don't really know how Google plans to kind of communicate this to people because this was just a leaked screenshot. Is that right? We don't know when this is going to be, the change might take place.
Yeah, that's what we don't know. This was during a conference. It wasn't even Google's presentation. A couple of Google employees tweeted about it, saying, more of this coming. This is what we want to do. We want to show HTTP for what it is, quote unquote, unsafe. So yeah, we don't know exactly what's going to happen with Chrome in particular, but I think that this is just another sign that in the future more websites will have to move to HTTPS. And I think that ideally that's what a lot of tech companies want. And I think that as users we should probably want it too.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that there's a risk with Google kind of doing this, the way they roll it out, of maybe either unnecessarily freaking people out? Because I'm a big proponent of HTTPS everywhere, but I also understand that there's certain websites that maybe they're older, maybe somebody's blog or something like that that's not collecting any information, that doesn't necessarily need to be transmitting securely. Do you think that having these signs there's the risk that people could be unnecessarily freaked out, or conversely, maybe people just kind of become immune to the red X because they're not understanding? Yeah, they always see it.
Yeah, I think that's a very good question and a very fair concern. And it's probably, I don't know what's Google's thinking here, but that's probably one of their reservations. You don't want a lot of users are already kind of used to clicking through warnings in browsers without thinking about it. So this could be another thing that users just ignore or, just don't care about, which, would defeat the whole purpose. So yeah, that's definitely a risk, and it's probably one of the challenges that, web designers and web developers have to figure out right now.
So we were always told in the beginning that, if you're ever look for the S if you're going to enter your credit card number or your password or any personal information. What's changed now that we need the S everywhere?
Well, what's changed now, I think, is that a lot of people have realized that even websites that are don't necessarily have contain personal information, or where people might introduce personal information, are still a threat if they don't have the HTTPS. Your connection to an insecure website can be intercepted. This was so, for example, when YouTube didn't have HTTPS enabled by default, it was shown that the NSA used, and GCHQ, the British spy agency, took advantage of that to insert malware into a connection to YouTube. And that's the reason why a lot of security and privacy experts believe that HTTPS would prevent something like that.
Yeah. Now, users can activate this feature now, is that right? As long as you kind of know how to jump through a few hoops to get it done.
Yeah, you can do that on Chrome. It's just a feature that will basically flag websites that are not secure. Right. And if you're worried about HTTPS, you can download plugins like HTTPS Everywhere that basically force every website that has it enabled to go over HTTPS.
Excellent. Thank you so much for coming on the show and talking with us about this, Lorenzo. Tell people where they can kind of follow your work online and catch all your stories.
I guess I'm on Twitter at LorenzoFB, without the, all the long and weird spelling name.
That works for me, Lorenzo. Really appreciate getting you on today. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Take care. All right, up next, we're going to chat with Mike Murphy from Quartz about how Google's AI is dominating the board game Go. But first, let's take a minute to thank Ring, the sponsor of this episode. We're all familiar with the sound of a doorbell. It means a package is being delivered, friends are coming over for dinner. It means a lot of things. It also means the sound of someone planning to rob you, with over 95% of home break-ins happening during the day. Burglars almost always start by ringing your doorbell to see if someone's home before they go in and rifle through all of your things to find the things that they really like and want for themselves. With the Ring video doorbell, you can see and talk to anyone at your door from anywhere in the world using your smartphone. So you have your smartphone in your pocket, you have a direct connection to your door. Ring's advanced motion detections alerts actually lets you know even if someone doesn't ring the doorbell. If you activate that, you can tweak the settings so that its sensitivity, and it'll let you know when someone's just standing out there or moving. With Ring Video Doorbell, you can talk to delivery people, tell them to drop off the package. If someone tries to mess with the package, you can tell them to get away from the package because you're going to come out with a bat. You'll get instant alerts and HD video of the entire thing. It really is like having a neighbor keeping an eye on your home 24/7. I've mentioned it many times, using Ring at our house for months now, and my kids are very used to the fact that it's there and that they have a direct connection to me. I'll talk to them, and I get to see their video. It's awesome, right? Like, they get home, I see that they're walking through, I can chat with them, tell them I'm going to see them a little bit later. It's just a really interesting and cool way to keep connected at home. It takes minutes to install, works with either your current wiring, or it also has a built-in rechargeable battery. So you can put your mind at ease, protect your home with the video doorbell. Time Magazine and USA Today named one of their top 10 gadgets of 2015. Go to ring.com/TNT for free expedited FedEx shipping. That's ring.com/TNT. With Ring, you are always home. And we thank Ring for their support.
Our next story is about the game Go. This is an abstract board game for 2 players, and it has more configurations on the board than there are atoms in the universe. Wow. I didn't count.
I thought that was a joke at first when I saw that. I was like, oh, that's funny.
No, that's according
true.
to Demis Hassabis, or
one of those.
We're failing on the pronunciation game.
Yeah.
He's the CEO of Google's DeepMind artificial intelligence company, the very company whose AI just beat a Go champion. Joining us to talk about the news is Mike Murphy, who reported on this story for Quartz. Welcome, Mike.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing well. So tell us why, first of all, Go is such a difficult game for a computer to beat.
Well, I mean, I don't know about you, but like in the days before this came out, I spent like hours trying to figure out how to play the game before I could figure out how to like report on it. So I can't even figure it out. And I apparently have a sophisticated brain of a human. So I don't know. It's a very complicated game. You know, it's been compared to, you make chess look like, tic-tac-toe. And it's, as you said, very abstract. So computers struggle with that because basically, in terms of like traditional computers and just being able to kind of like solve problems and things like that, the way that like IBM's Deep Blue beat Garry Kasparov at chess back in the 90s. In that case, the old traditional computers would literally just try and think of every possible move and every possible outcome of that move. And in a game like chess, where there's a relatively finite, relatively small amount of moves you can make, that's fine. A powerful computer can do that. But when you've got more possibilities than there are atoms in the universe, requires a different way of thinking about it. So you can't literally just compute every option possible, because the computer will just be sitting there. If it had a screen, it would probably be doing the little beach ball spinny thing forever. So what Google DeepMind did is essentially build a series of AI programs called neural nets, and combine them with that kind of traditional approach to kind of act more like a human thinks. Like we don't tend to think every move in advance when we're playing a game. We might think 10 moves in advance. We might think, well, if we do this, we can kind of see how this will end. So they try to create a system that would approach the game more like that. So maybe choose 5 or 10 or 20 moves and see where they go, as opposed to every possible move.
So who did the game beat? I mean, who did the computer beat at the game?
The computer beat the European champion of Go. And I've seen a lot of backlash, not just on my article, but every person who's reporting on this, that, well, this isn't that important. He beat the computer beat the 633rd ranked Go player in the world, which is like, okay. I mean, I literally just read an article that was comparing that to, well, if we built a robot that beat the 633rd ranked tennis player, we wouldn't be that impressed. But I would be pretty impressed if we built a robot that could beat almost any human at tennis. But on top of that, I mean, if that isn't a good enough, most amazing enough thing for you, DeepMind has said that they're going to challenge the global #1 world ranked, completely undisputed champion of the game of Go for the last 10 years in South Korea in March. So if this win wasn't good enough for the Go community and the people who are not very well impressed by impressive things, well, then look out March.
Well, I'm definitely impressed. Who else was involved with this, with the DeepMind project and with beating Go? Who else is working on this?
So it was pretty interesting. So there was an embargo on this, very strict one from Nature, the scientific journal where this was published. And that was like 1:00, I think, on Wednesday. And I woke up on Wednesday morning and saw that in the middle of the night, Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook had posted a message on his wall saying that he's so proud of his researchers in the artificial intelligence department who are getting so close to beating the game Go. So obviously they'd been a little tipped off that maybe there was big news coming from Google about this. But I mean, so Facebook had been working very, very seriously on this. Their AI researchers, including their lead, Jan LeCun, they're some of the best in the world. But this has kind of been regarded, for the last 20 or 30 years as one of the grand challenges of artificial intelligence research. So Google got there first. Facebook was apparently quite close, but I mean, really, a lot of people were trying to solve this. I mean, as most recently as December, Wired published a story where an AI researcher was quoted as saying this was probably still 10 years away, and a month later, we've cracked it.
Wow! And in a couple of months, Go is going to have its Bobby Fischer moment.
Yes.
Right.
Well, it feels a little bit like the space race, like who's going to get there first, like whose neural networks are going to get there first. With Go, a lot of the moves, you say that, that the people, they make the move because it feels right. So it's a little bit disturbing when you think about, okay, Google's figured out how to feel. Is that what's going on here?
Well, I mean, thankfully these programs don't have opinions on Adele or what the weather's like or things like that yet. But I mean, they are kind of trying to match the way that we have intuition. We have intuition by a series of life experiences leading up to whatever that moment is, where we have kind of been programmed through our own evolution and our own experiences to know this is probably what we should do in this situation, whether that's like picking up a book from running from an explosion. And they're essentially teaching computer systems to react similarly, but that's not the same necessarily as them having that kind of emotion. I wouldn't say even if we got to a stage where we had a computer that could maybe, I don't know if you guys saw the movie Ex Machina, but the whole debate in that was that there was a crazy AI robot that kind of was tricking us the whole time. And I wonder, even if we're creating these AI systems that can feel or can act like they're feeling, are we just programming them to do do things the way that we think about them, or are they actually having those sensations? Right now, they're clearly not having any kind of sensations beyond beating someone at Go.
I haven't seen Ex Machina yet, but I need the AI to tell me, because last night it was the Master of None episode or Ex Machina, and I need AI to tell me you need to watch Ex Machina because someone's going to bring it up tomorrow and you're going to need to talk about it. So
that's challenge number 1. Challenge number 2 is beat the Grandmaster of Go. At Go. So,
well, Mike, thank you so much, as always, for coming on and explaining. And as soon as a computer can feel what it's like to have an opinion about Adele, then please let me know.
Yeah, come back.
Mike is at Quartz and at MCWM on Twitter. Thanks for
having me.
Thanks, Mike. All right, TNT's fan of the day took to Twitter to send us this picture of him posing in front of what appears to be this show called TNT being recorded directly in front of him. I don't know if I buy it. Actually, Jeff Winston was, in fact, in studio for yesterday's show, and this picture proves it. There he is, lurking behind me while I did the show. It was awesome to have Jeff here yesterday. Hey, send us your pictures. Show us how you watch or listen to TNT. Just record a video, take a picture of yourself or your setup, post it to Instagram, Google+, Twitter, Facebook, wherever you happen to peach. There we go. Use hashtag HowIWatchTNT, and we are hopefully going to find it.
Well, if you like a little D's Nuts with your political coverage, then I know you did not know who D's Nuts was today. Jason will find out. Stick around. But first, let's take a minute to thank Igloo. Anyone who has worked in a corporate environment knows how painful legacy intranets can be. The content is stale, the interface is ugly, and you can only access it at work. Igloo is an intranet that's fun to spend time in. It's a cloud platform that helps you share files, collaborate on documents, update your blogs, coordinate all your calendars, and manage projects. Project management made fun. Who would have thought it? Igloo is built using responsive design, which means everything you can do at your desk, you can now do on the go through any web browser. And anyone can add content based on their permissions with drag and drop widgets and WYSIWYG editors. Igloo also offers a variety of access, authentication, and identity services to ensure that only authorized users have access in private clouds over SSL and with 256-bit encryption. Unlike other solutions, you can customize Igloo to fit your needs and work with your current IT investments like Salesforce or SharePoint, Active Directory, and coming soon, file sharing solutions like Box and Dropbox. It's great for growing companies and large enterprises looking to refresh their communication strategy. It's used by government agencies and companies like Hulu, Inventive Health, American Family Insurance, and Ipswich. Try it free at igloosoftware.com/twit. Sign up for a live demo to see it in action. And when you sign up through our link, you can get your own Igloo for up to 10 people, absolutely free for as long as you want. That's igloosoftware.com/TWIT, and we thank them for their support. Attention, old people. The 2016 presidential campaign will not be televised. It will be Snapchatted by millennials. By millennials, at least, maybe some of the rest of us. Veteran CNN political reporter Peter Hamby, now the Snapchat news director, just launched a new political show called Good Luck, America. You can find it under the Snapchat Discovery Channel. This is really interesting. Peter Hamby covered the 2008 and 2012 presidential races for CNN. He also wrote a paper for the Shorenstein Center for Harvard University called "Did Twitter Kill the Boys on the Bus?" Those were those boys that traveled around with political campaigns. And now he was searching for a better way to cover the campaign. The paper that he wrote criticizes, quote, the journalistic reward structure in Washington that often prizes speed and scoops over context. I found this really interesting. I am a Snapchat user, not a regular Snapchat user. I only follow my 12-year-old daughter on Snapchat and no one else. But I went to the Discovery tab. I downloaded and watched some of this. It's really interesting. Have you seen any of this, Christina?
I have, and I think that he's doing a really good job. And it's a really smart way of them to kind of bring the election in. They've also been doing some things in the Bernie Sanders campaign, I think, has some special filters. They're doing some interesting things around the election. I guess my question would be, and I don't know how, I presume his answer would say, oh, we're not going to be, usurping the political process. But I would wonder, where this kind of will cross the line where it goes from being kind of commentary and having real reporters doing reporting on the campaign, and when it just becomes like the campaigns themselves creating content for these networks. I guess that would be my fear with this, is that, you would, if you only follow the candidates themselves, or if the content starts to become the narrative structured around more, what I'm trying to say, less about reporting stories the way that things have traditionally happened, and more kind of, well, let's create these viral moments, what the International Journal is doing, to get people engaged. I guess I get concerned about that. I wonder if the process becomes lost in that, if we're just trying to make viral videos and fun Snapchats.
Well, when it comes from the campaign, totally. But I think this is coming from someone with a, CNN background. So it's,
Sure.
probably as biased as CNN is, depending on how you feel about that.
My point is I guess I wonder, I'm losing my train of thought here. I guess I'm wondering, what they're going to feel compelled to do to keep the audience engaged, because a lot of this can be really dry, and I guess that'll be the real challenge, to see how they can bring this to a new audience in this way without going to the place where let's just have fun with the candidates, where you're not necessarily covering really important issues. I think what they're doing so far is really good. That's always in the back of my mind when these sorts of technologies are used these ways, is it going to become usurped by the marketing teams and by the campaigns themselves?
Got it.
I think they're trying to reach a younger generation that doesn't care, and in a different way than you might be reached on Twitter, just by recording some gaffe that someone had, or some ridiculous tweet, or anything that one of the candidates might say that is offensive or ridiculous. Just seeing that as the entertaining part. I think that being a traditional journalist, he sees how important, and basically, if you watch it, he's just like, this is about to get weird,
Yep. Welcome to 2016. I think it's hard to reach children, and I think, anyone who has talked to a teen or a tween knows that they know who Donald Trump is, and they read the same sort of crazy things that we read, and the way that's presented. So it's interesting to me if the younger generation who does use Snapchat will actually see this and learn something more than just what, the crazy tweets that we see and things like that. Right. Well, and even further than that, actual direct engagement with it. It's one thing to kind of see it on TV or read about it on the internet. It's another thing to reach the younger generation that are using Snapchat regularly and consistently in that fashion, and have it not come across as shilly or something that's going to turn them off. Are they going to be effective in doing that? Now, the White House is also on Snapchat, by the way. So this is the next frontier, for reaching the kids.
No, and I think you're right. I think that's a great point. we would hope that this could kind of do what MTV News was doing, I guess, during like the 92 election.
Right.
And how they kind of really brought the political conversation to the youth audience for the first time. And Snapchat is the ideal platform to do that. And I think that they were really smart to hire him to be doing this sort of coverage for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he explains the Iowa caucuses, which I needed also a refresher course on that. Yeah, so I think it'll be interesting. I mean, I don't know. It just launched today.
Is it going to get you using Snapchat more than just to talk to your daughter? Okay.
Yes.
All right.
It is. I'll use Snapchat just as much as I use Peach, and then we'll see.
All right.
Well, Christina, thank you so much for joining us. It's so great to talk to you again. And I know we covered a couple of your stories, but what else are you working on, or what else have you posted recently that we'd be interested in?
Well, actually, speaking of the campaign, I actually just a story should be going up tonight. Kind of, there was a little bit of a fracas with the Bernie Sanders campaign where they're upset about Microsoft sponsoring or creating the caucus apps, the reporting apps for both the Republican Party and the Democrat Party. Apparently, their concern is that a few Microsoft employees in 2008 donated money to Hillary Clinton, and apparently that in their mind it creates kind of a giant conspiracy theory that Microsoft's data transparency, which has never come into question ever, it should be suspect. So I kind of wrote something kind of being like, look, it's fair to have concerns about who your data provider is, but if you're saying you trust the Iowa Democrat Party, then you should trust them, and you should, if you want to have your backup reporting sources, that's fine. But it's actually a bigger reason why Microsoft was involved in creating these reporting apps to begin with, which was, as you said, the Iowa caucus is a really confusing process, and they've had some technology snafus in the past. So that got a story about that coming up tonight, which is kind of interesting, kind of crosses kind of the tech and the political landscape, because there are some really interesting tech problems interesting political problems that technology is trying to solve. But the campaigns don't always see it that way.
Yeah.
Well, Christina, thank you. Christina, of course, is the senior tech correspondent at Mashable and at film_girl on Twitter. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Christina. So great to have you on. Tomorrow's guest, by the way, will be Mark Million from Bloomberg. I will not be here. I'm sorry to say.
I think that we'll be okay.
You're gonna do awesome.
Right, you're gonna prepare
survive.
everything before you go, though, right?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna write the whole show based on news that breaks between now and 2 hours from now.
Okay, excellent.
So it might be a strange. No, that's not true.
Have a
Megan's
nice
gonna
day
work on it.
off.
Thank
You
you.
deserve it.
I will do that. TNT records live every Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, 12 a.m. UTC at twit.tv/live. You can be a part of the show by emailing us at tnt@twit.tv or leaving us a short voicemail, 260-TNT show. You can hit us up on Twitter. The show is at Tech News Today TV.
And if you want to know any of the behind-the-scenes gossip, or if you want to find out who our upcoming guests are going to be, you can subscribe to our newsletter. Sign up for that at twit.tv/newsletter. And don't forget to subscribe to the show on iTunes or Stitcher or TuneIn, or all the ways you can subscribe to podcasts. You can find all those at twit.tv/TNT. And if you want to get in touch with us directly, you can find us on Twitter. I am at Megan Morrone.
And I am Jason Howell. Thanks as always to our live producer, Anthony Nielsen, and all the folks who help us produce every single day this very show. And thanks to you for talking tech with us today. We will see you tomorrow. Well, Megan will. Yeah. I won't be here to high five you.